Check it out, folks. I just got the Carpuride W702. They just sent this to me. It is a waterproof navigator. Oh, let's check out all the features on the side of the box. You put it on your bike, you get your Apple CarPlay, your Android Auto. Look at that. You get all of your apps right at your fingertips while you ride. It is amazing, folks. You gotta get one. Buy one now. Use the links in my video description. You're gonna want to get one. They're paying me to say this. I just can't say enough positive, glowing things about it. Yeah, that is not how we do reviews here on this channel. And let's just get rid of this. So I got an email one day from a company called Carpuride offering to send me their W702 CarPlay and Android Auto screen at no cost in exchange for doing a video. Now, I'd never heard of this company before, so I went online to see what other folks have thought of this device. But most of what I found were other reviewers who had also received the unit for free and just put together some unboxing and showing off the basic features of the unit without doing the in-depth testing that I would like to see. So I declined their offer, and then I went to their website and ordered one with my own money so that I could do a completely honest review, tell you what I think, without having to sugarcoat it or follow anybody else's script. Now, before actually placing the order, I sent an email to their customer service department asking a generic question about Bluetooth compatibility just to see what kind of response I would get back. And they did get back to me about a day and a half later with an answer. Not too bad considering they're on the other side of the world from me. But from there, the buying experience definitely could have been better. I placed my order on February 5th, got my order confirmation, and patiently waited for a shipping notice. And waited, and waited. After about a week with no updates, I reach out to them, and they did respond back about, again, a day and a half later, telling me that all shipments were suspended until February 14th due to holiday break. Now, I don't fault them for taking a holiday break. What I do fault them for is not putting any kind of a notice or having that information on their website when you place the order to let you know that shipments are going to be delayed, right? Communication is key here, folks. February 14th comes and goes. I'm still trying to be patient, not getting any updates. Order still shows as pending. I reach out again on February 20th, get another response back about a day and a half, 2 days later again, letting me know that the unit is not available to ship right now and it won't be available until next week. So, more delay here. Finally, February 26th, 21 days after I placed the order, I get a shipment confirmation and a tracking number. 8 days later, March 5th, finally delivered. 8 days shipment time's not too bad coming from China to the US, but all in all, that was pretty much a month of me waiting from the time that I placed the order. When it finally arrives, this is what was in the box. We have the screen itself. The screen has a little integrated sun visor along the top. It's not removable, that's built into the unit. The back, you'll see the RAM style mounting ball and the power connector. We also get the manual, of course, and then some RAM style mounting hardware, and you also get an extra fuse if needed, and a little mini 10mm wrench. We also have two wiring harnesses for two ways to connect it. One being one that'll connect into a USB port, and then we also have one that can just be hardwired instead. The screen itself measures about 7 1/4 inches across, 4 5/8 inch tall, and just about 1 inch deep, not including the little sun shroud. The RAM ball sticks 1.5 inches away from the back surface, and the total weight of the screen is 13 ounces or 0.37 kilograms. Mounting the screen to your bike is going to vary depending on the particular setup of your bike. Using the hardware that's included with the unit, you have two options really. One is to mount this directly, this ram ball mount can mount directly to your brake or clutch lever brackets. You would remove the bolts or screws holding that bracket on. They include some spacers that you would then use to put this over top of your clutch or brake lever bracket, and then you would have to supply your own longer, properly threaded screws or bolts to go through this mounting point. And the other option is to use the included U-bolt that they supply to mount this to the handlebars. Then just attach the arm to the ball on the back of the screen, attach it to the mount, and tighten it down. On my Pan America, this setup is not ideal. The CarPlay screen is blocking a good portion of my main display. I don't like having something this big, this close to me, and mounted on the handlebars like this. And really, no matter where I put them on the handlebars, it's going to block my view of my main display. Another option is to get a GPS device mount for your bike if one's available, one that will give you a 12mm crossbar like this, and then just fit a ram ball mount that'll fit on that bar and mount the device to that. But as you can see, the included medium length arm offsets the screen a bit here, so I would recommend picking up a shorter mounting arm if you're going to mount the screen this way. Now, if you happen to have a BMW with the built-in GPS device cradle that goes above your main screen, Carpuride does make an adapter now that allows their screen to fit into that cradle, even provides power. As far as powering the device, remember you have two options. One is that USB cable adapter it comes with. That needs to plug into a USB port capable of delivering 2.4 amps. I personally wouldn't recommend using that other than just for testing it out, right? Because even though the connector, the power connector on the back of the screen forms a watertight connection, that plug going into a USB port is not going to be watertight, and it could corrode over time as it gets wet. So I would recommend using the other harness and hardwiring it, preferably to a power source that is switched to come on and off with the bike. If you hardwire it directly to the battery, then you're going to have to use the power button on the side of the screen to turn it on and off all the time. So when you first power on the device, you're going to get the Carpuride logo splash screen as the unit boots up, and then it's going to give you this message telling you how the sound is being output, and it defaults, at least mine is defaulting, to what they call Bluetooth trans. And for that setup, you're going to have your phone connected to the Carpuride screen via Bluetooth, and you're going to have your headset connected not to your phone, but to the Carpuride screen, with the screen acting as a middleman, if you will. All right, now to set up that connection, first put your Bluetooth comms in pairing mode, then go into the audio output of the Carpuride, where it will search for your Bluetooth unit. Now once connected, you can go back and now pair the phone to the Carpuride. For iPhones, you select the iPlay icon, and then it will instruct you to connect via Bluetooth from your phone. You'll be asked to confirm the pairing and some different sync options, and then it will connect. From here we can tap the car home icon. They really should call that bike home or something. But anyway, that takes us back to the Carpuride main screen here, where we can explore some of the features that it has. Up in the left-hand corner, you have your home button that'll take you back to this screen. We can adjust some individual volume levels. More on that later. Same with this EQ. You have an EQ that you can adjust, and there's some presets and things if you want to play around with that. But I got to talk about that a little bit later. We have your Bluetooth connections, and then this will take you back to your CarPlay screen. Let's go back. And then we have a brightness slider that we can adjust to adjust the screen brightness. And then we can change some backgrounds. There's some different backgrounds you can cycle through that only apply to this screen, right? This is not changing the background when you're in the CarPlay mode. That's in your Apple settings, okay? And then if you need help, you can press the help button. All that does is just gives you a little bit of text with their contact information if you have to reach out. We have the option of turning the display off. I got some thoughts on that I'll share. And then down here, you have options for making phone calls, listening to music through Bluetooth, and exploring media saved on an SD card. There is a SD card slot on the side. You do have to use some screws to remove a cover because that keeps it waterproof. But my thoughts on that is these bottom three functions, why? We're buying this obviously to connect it to our phone, either to our Apple iPhone or a phone that supports Android Auto, because we want to use all the functionality through that interface. This is just useless extras for me. Right, and our settings, there's not much in settings. You can change the language and reset to your factory defaults and look at your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connections. You can't really change anything in there. Now back to these volume levels and EQ. These only work if you're paired and set up the way that I just showed in what they call their Bluetooth trans mode, right? With this being the middleman between my headset and the phone. You can also pair your headset directly to the phone and have the screen to the phone so that this is not in the middle of those devices. If you do that, you're not going to have the volume controls on the screen, but that is a better way to do the connection. So let me show you how to do that. So if you've previously paired your phone to the Carpuride, you can easily reset everything in the settings menu by selecting the Restore Factory Settings. And then once reset, select iPlay to connect to CarPlay again and join from your phone the same as before. And if needed, pair your Bluetooth unit with your phone. From the Carpuride home screen, select the audio output and then switch the device to iPlay/auto mode. And now the Carpuride will not interfere with the connection between your Bluetooth unit and your phone. With the screen on, you can see it is plenty bright and it is plenty big. This 7-inch screen is just about the same size as my motorcycle's main display screen. They do have a smaller 5-inch version that you could opt for if you'd want something not quite so big. But I wanted to try the big one, especially since the eyes aren't quite as good as they used to be. I want to be able to see those maps and directions nice and big. Once you have everything set up, it's going to work pretty much like any other CarPlay device that you may have used in any other vehicle. It's going to give you access to your navigation apps. It's going to give you access to your music. And of course, give you a way to easily make and receive calls and respond to your text messages. I've been testing this out on the road for a while, testing using the navigation apps, seeing the map on the screen, getting my turn-by-turn directions in my headset, and all of that worked fine. But anything having to do with audio, my experience varied depending on the type of connection. When I had both my phone and the headset each connected directly to the Carpuride unit, the audio experience was very poor. Sound quality of what I heard was still pretty good. I did get a little bit of cutting in and out as I moved my head around, especially if I turned my head to check my blind spots as I'm riding. But when I tested making phone calls, the person that I was talking to said that the phone call quality wasn't that great. But the biggest kicker is that because the Carpuride unit is treating my Cardo PackTalk Edge just as a Bluetooth speaker and microphone, I lost all of the extra features and integration that my PackTalk Edge offers me when connected to my phone. I wasn't able to use the buttons on the headset to skip tracks. I wasn't able to answer phone calls using my voice. I wasn't able to use voice commands to make phone calls, ask for directions, send messages to people, right? None of that worked. I was forced to using the touchscreen controls on the device itself to do everything. But when I set it up as I have it now with my phone paired with the Carpuride screen and with my headset with my Cardo paired directly to the phone, much better experience overall. I did not have any audio issues with sound cutting out. People that I talked to on the phone said that I sounded crisp and as they would expect it. And all of my integration between the headset and the phone worked seamlessly. I was able to use my buttons again. I was able to use voice commands through the headset.
Hey Cardo, next track.
And really reduce the amount that I had to reach and touch the screen for anything. What you lose by having your headset connected that way with your phone is you don't get to use the volume controls and the equalizer in the Carpuride unit, which for me, big deal. Not worth it. I'd rather have all the other integrations and the better audio connection. I don't know if perhaps other phones and headset combinations are not compatible working that way, because I would question why do they even offer that type of integration with the Carpuride unit being in the middle of the conversation, knowing that it kills all those extra features that are in many modern Bluetooth comm units. I tested the touchscreen functionality with a variety of different gloves that I have, starting with my Climb warm weather riding gloves that do have some touch sensitive pads on the fingertips. They work decent. Then we had my Lee Parks deerskin gloves, again, that have touch sensitive pads on the fingertips. These were a little finicky depending on how I was making contact with the screen. It didn't like if I was using just a fingertip. Next were my Cortec insulated and waterproof gloves. These are not advertised as a touchscreen friendly glove, and it's picked up a little bit of the touches, but not enough for it to really be usable. But the biggest surprise was how well my Warm and Safe heated gloves work. They are advertised as being touch friendly, and they worked great. I only had to make contact with just the tips of the gloves. I didn't have to really get like a whole finger pad on the screen for it to be responsive. I also tested the screen in sub-freezing temperatures, and it didn't seem to affect the touch sensitivity at all. Now, another common concern with touchscreens that are designed to be used outdoors is how do they respond to water droplets. Sometimes water can result in what's known as ghost touches or touch inputs when you're not even touching the screen. I had high hopes for the Carpuride unit during this test. At first it looked like it was going to fare well, but as it got more and heavier water droplets on the screen, you can see it start registering those touches. For something that is advertised as a waterproof unit for use on your motorcycle, riding in all sorts of weather conditions, that is a bit disappointing. Overall thoughts on the product. What do I like? I like the ease of having CarPlay on my motorcycle now. I really wish that Harley-Davidson in particular for my bike would have offered this from the factory, but they didn't. And I like that there's an option that I can add it. It's easy to use. It's been reliable. It hasn't been like shutting down or rebooting on me or anything like that as I've used it. All right, so since filming this, I did have one issue out on a ride with the Carpuride unit, one glitch, if you will, and that is while riding, I had CarPlay open, I had my Apple Maps open, and all of a sudden the screen, the Carpuride unit just went back to its main screen, exiting out of Apple CarPlay. Now I was able to just touch the icon for CarPlay. We went right back in with no issues, and it's only happened that one time so far. So I'll keep this video, I'll keep the description updated if that becomes a recurring issue. And I like that it does at least have a mode that it supports letting my headset and phone connect directly to each other, so I can use all the advanced features built in to my headset. I'm not sure if other units do that. Now, as you've seen, all of my testing has just been with the Apple CarPlay functionality. Fortunately, I don't have access to an Android-based phone that I could test with. I'm going to assume that the capabilities are going to be similar regardless of which phone you're using as far as connectivity with the device and the way the device works. but unfortunately I'm not able to verify that 100% for you. What do I think could be better? Quite a few things. For one, it's disappointing again that a unit that they advertise as waterproof, designed for being on a motorcycle, in all sorts of weather conditions, does have the touchscreen go a little haywire once it gets wet. All right, now to be fair, that assessment's a little harsh because even my iPhone 13 fails that test when the screen is directly sprayed with water. It's just the nature of capacitive touchscreens, I believe. Now, I have not had a chance to ride in pouring rain with the Carpuride unit yet, but I have ridden in some light rain, and I didn't have any issues with the light rain triggering any touch inputs on the screen so far. Another thing that I really wish they did differently is how they do the screen brightness. The screen gets plenty bright for being able to see it in broad daylight. No complaints there. My complaints just revolve around how you dim the screen, right? When you're riding at nighttime and you want to dial back that screen brightness, which you certainly do because the screen is super bright at night, you have to go back to the main home screen of the Carpuride unit, pull up the screen brightness control, and try and use your glove to manage that little slider to put the screen brightness where you want it, and then you can go back into your CarPlay interface. Obviously, not something that's safe to be fiddling around with as you're riding, so you really have to pull over in order to safely adjust your screen brightness. I really would have liked if instead of the slider in the touchscreen that they just had buttons on the side of the unit that you can reach forward, big enough buttons that even with a glove you can bump the brightness up, bump the brightness down, whatever the case may be. Another feature I'd like to see would be a setting where I could have the screen automatically dim or shut off until I get an incoming call or an incoming message. The unit does have a way you exit out of CarPlay, go back to the main screen, and you can turn the screen off and it will wake up with a touch, but incoming calls and connections do not automatically activate the screen so you can see what's going on. Now, just to clarify this, even with the display in sleep mode, if you will, with the display off, with my phone connected directly to my headset via Bluetooth, I'm still hearing music. I'm still hearing turn-by-turn navigations on the headset. You still hear incoming phone calls. You still hear your ringtone, and you're able to do everything from the headset. You're just not seeing anything visually on the screen to go along with it, right, until you wake it up and go back into CarPlay. The other thing I didn't like was how they have the RAM ball mount integrated as part of the unit. I thought looking at pictures that it was just going to be a part that I could unscrew from the back and remove and replace with, some other custom mounting setup, but it's not. You can remove the 1-inch ball from the aluminum post, but once you remove those 4 screws, that piece of aluminum is actually acting as a heat sink for the unit itself. I would have preferred if they just had an aluminum plate on the back that was compatible with the amp style layout that most of your aftermarket GPS units use, because there's tons of stuff on the market already for mounting them. And then they could have included the RAM mount piece as a separate part that screwed into the back. You may have noticed through the video that I'm not using the RAM mount on this anymore. I do have a custom piece that I've made to fit onto the back of this unit to let it mount to my GPS navigation crossbar mount. I'm still prototyping it, playing with ideas on how to make it better. Check the link in the description below if you're interested in getting one of those once I have some of the kinks worked out, and all the information will be there when I'm ready to offer that. Now, long-term durability and reliability have yet to be seen. I've only been using this unit for about 4 weeks now. They do advertise, Carpuride does advertise on their website a 30-day return policy. But Let me caution folks and caveat that because I did reach out to them and ask them about that. Yes, it is a 30-day return policy, but you as the buyer are responsible for return shipping. Not uncommon, but if you're in the United States like I am and you want to ship something like this back to China, it's going to cost you about $80 just in the shipping fees. And there's going to be customs fees on top of that you really don't know what they're going to be until it gets over there and held by customs. So in the end, you're going to still lose about half of what you paid for the device. Now, there are resellers on Amazon selling this device now. The price works out to be a little bit more than if you were to buy it from Carpuride directly, but of course, buying from Amazon, you're going to have an easier time returning it if it ends up being something that you don't like. Not to mention, you're likely to get it a lot sooner compared to the ordeal that I had to go to ordering it from Carpuride directly. If you are interested in getting one of these units for your bike, I do have some affiliate links in the description. You can get it directly from Carpuride or from Amazon using those links, right? And a little bit of that does come to help support this channel. If you have any other questions that I happen to miss while reviewing and testing this unit, drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ride safe.